And, greetings, Monster Hunters. I'm back, and I have a new guest with me, a person who has not played Monster Hunter before, for a good, like, outsider look in on Monster Hunter, so he'll probably ask a lot of questions.
Hey guys, I'm Suspicious Dish, and I'm going to be here with you, I guess, for a little while.
Feel free to plug in anything that you're doing at the moment. I know you're doing Elebits.
Yeah, I'm doing Elements, and I have something going on in a Twilight Princess thing that I'm doing on the side. It's in Thornbrain's thread. It's really silly, and you won't understand it unless you don't... I don't know what I'm saying. It's sequence breaking, basically. If you like sequence breaking, check that out.
Ooh, sequence breaking is always fun. I might check it out. So basically, for the people at home who have been following the Let's Play, I am using the longsword and fighting the Basiros because I am going to attempt to cut the bugger's tail off, because I have not shown that off yet.
Was that a jump cut, or did that trail lead directly to this cave?
Basically, I started a mission. The town is sort of like a mission hub.
Okay.
You pick a mission, and then you get teleported into the mission, or so to speak. But that was a cut right there, because 10 minutes of wandering around trying to find a monster can usually happen.
Okay, so monsters just appear, or they spawn on the map, and then you activate them, and now you have to fight them.
Well, think of it. Have you ever played a PSP game?
No.
Okay, because then I was gonna try to come with a couple examples of games that people might have, or well, you might have played. But think of it as you go on a mission, and then you activate the mission at the village screen.
Yep.
And then you get teleported in the mission, and then the objective is to, say, hunt a Basiros.
Okay.
And there will always be a Basiros in the mission, as well as all the other objectives you need to do.
Right. So you're just using a sword, hammering, and those two bugs near you are random spawns, or the allies, or what?
They're just monsters that run interference, in a sense. Like, the Vespoid will paralyze you, which is like the little, like the mosquito thing flittering around. The Hornitaurs, they're like the little grasshopper bugs. They're just annoying. So, and another reason why I'm using this gear set is, just for viewers. I've explained this before to them, but you might not know. This gear set allows me to not bounce on monsters. Some monsters have really tough skin, so your weapons will bounce off of them. And I basically brought this to make sure I can cut the tail off, because this monster has a really tough hide, as you can see, which is more or less rock.
Right. I assume are there any long range weapons in this game?
Oh yeah, there's a bowgun, which acts as sort of like a portable cannon.
Yep.
And there's also the bow, which is a bow.
Right.
But I'm honestly not a fan of the ranged weapons. I'm more of a melee person.
Yeah.
I like to get up close and personal. Plus, a thing I can't stand about the ranged weaponry is the armor is made of wet cardboard.
Huh, okay.
As a ranged person, you're not really supposed to get hit,
right.
which is indicative of how much defense you actually have on the armor. Whereas a melee weapon set, you're supposed to take a few hits and you'll have more defense. Okay. And I always get hit, so there we go.
Alright, so you cut his tail off. So
this is the interesting thing. This tail is the smallest tail cut in the entire game. It's just this tiny little stub of a tail, and that's kind of why it's a unique tail cut.
And there was ore inside that tail somehow?
Well, the thing is, it has like ore. The monster itself, it eats ore.
Oh, okay.
It eats minerals, basically, and the sort of formations on his back, it's like mineral formations, so it basically blends in with its surrounding.
Okay. So, quick question, because there's a lot of bars that are going on here. I assume that the yellow bar is health or something like that? Or?
No, the yellow bar is actually my stamina, which allows me to run, dodge, and if I have a weapon with a shield, block.
Okay. Green bar is health then?
Green bar is my health. monsters do not have a health bar because you're supposed to be able to tell how much health a monster has by small signs like limping and whatnot.
Oh, okay, so that's neat.
Yeah.
So does touching the model of the monster hurt, or does it actually have to do like an attack, like breathing fire?
It usually has to do an attack, but some monsters are dickish, and just touching them will deal damage to you.
Okay. This isn't one of those?
No. Basically, whenever it's been doing damage to me is usually when it's been doing like a hip check, where it just tries to basically body slam me with its hip.
Yep.
Like that.
Yep.
And then it has basically a hitbox, and if the hitbox touches me while it's doing that, then I just take damage. Some monsters are really horrible with this, because they have a huge hitbox, bigger than the actual model.
Huh.
And the hip check, it is a horrible move. Like, there is a monster called... what's it called? I'm trying to think of the name. My mind is stumbling over my words. Plesioth, yes. It is like a giant amphibian water monster, and it is gigantic. But the hitbox is twice the monster's size, and it'll do a hip check, and it has this huge long tail. So it's basically like a wall that's it just mashes into you, and you don't really have a chance to avoid it. And it's its most powerful attack, and in some instances it can one-shot you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So quick question, there's a lot of pop-ups that are happening. Like
Pop-ups?
weapon power has increased. I assume that comes from a potion.
No, basically, you see my, the little glowing sword icon?
So I'm looking... Oh, there it is, yes.
Yeah, it is basically the sharpness of your weapon.
Okay.
The more you attack an enemy, and the more you... For example, if you bounce off an enemy, it'll take extra durability damage. And when it's taken enough durability damage, it'll get weaker and less sharp. And if your weapon's not sharp enough, you can't really pierce the monster's hide. So you need to have a sharp enough weapon.
And I assume you increase sharpness by getting correct hits off an enemy or something like that?
No, you increase sharpness by using whetstones.
Okay.
Basically, you sharpen your weapon mid-battle.
Oh, okay.
So, it's basically just every time you do a hit, it takes durability damage. And this is the reason why I'm bringing this armor set, so I don't bounce off of the monster.
Okay.
Because bouncing is a pain on this monster, and it will just destroy your weapon in no time, and you will be dealing almost no damage.
Okay. That's good. Who are Boxy Brown and Faye up in the upper left-hand corner?
The cat that I have with me is called Faye. It's basically like a... And I get pushed out. Also, I'm poisoned.
So you got pushed out. Does that mean that when you go back in, the monster will reset to full health?
No.
Okay.
It has static... Its health keeps... I mean, the only way you can get more health is by it resting, but it takes a while.
Okay. So that's good. It doesn't, like, spawn with full health every time.
No. Nothing like that.
Okay.
It needs to rest for a really long time for that even to happen. And if you let it rest for that long, well... You should probably try over from the starting, because you'll probably have to let it rest for like 10-20 minutes. It was like almost dead.
Yeah, I guess 10-20 minutes was a bit shorter than I was expecting. But let me ask a stupid question now. Is it actually real time? Like, if I go and turn the game off and come back later and turn it back on, will it count that time in between?
If you turn the game off, it will basically be paused. What the PSP does is, when you put it on standby mode, it will pause the game, so it is completely paused. But if you let the time run, it's all real time.
Okay.
And you see the clock up there? Once the white hand reaches the red hand, your time's up for the mission, and you just automatically lose.
Okay.
And that's, what, 40... No, that's 50 minutes. So you have 50 minutes to do this.
Okay.
Some missions you can end up spending like 30 minutes on. So, like... Some missions there is a pretty big struggle with the monsters.
Alright.
and you can either lessen or ease the, or make it harder on yourself depending on what items you bring. Like, you can bring traps and bombs, stuff like that.
Okay.
Or if you just have a really bad weapon, which, something you should probably be warned of ahead of time. The thread decided that I was supposed to use a weapon called a gun lance, which is basically a lance with a big cannon barrel on the end. It is hands down the second worst weapon in this game, so some missions will probably take longer time than they should.
Okay.
Whenever I use that one. The gun lance is good against some monsters, but it's not very many, and the reason why it's so weak is because instead of the weapon's damage scaling with your attack power, it stays static. So you do really weak piddly attacks with half of the attacks. So this is just something for you to keep in mind. And I was doing so good too, like beginning with not getting poisoned. Getting poisoned all the time. Also, by the way, I should mention to you, there's a Monster Hunter drinking game going on. Every time I forget to bring antidotes, take a drink. This time you don't have to take a drink, though, because I remembered to bring antidotes. Oh man, I'm being poisoned. But I should probably explain more about the feline ally to you. It's basically like this little mercenary, and you can kind of customize them with a couple abilities, what you want them to do. And I have customized this one to basically buff and heal.
Okay.
I have a different combination sets, like some that only throw with bombs, some that'll focus on melee attacks with status effects. And if you're wondering what the red bar is that's glowing, it is the gimmick for this weapon, the longsword, or katana if you will. As you attack a monster, the bar will fill up, and then you can spend this bar for extra special powerful attacks. But if you keep the bar all the way up at the top, you will get like a extra sharpness. So like my green sharpness will count as a +1 sharpness when it comes to cutting through hides of monsters. So I have an easier time doing it, even though the weapon shouldn't be that sharp. And it gives me a pretty decent attack boost. So it's all about managing how much do you want to waste your spirit gauge, or do you want to keep it filled out? I probably should be using some of my spirit gauge though, but oh well. And by the way, you can also trip monsters when you deal enough damage to their legs.
So he just did the. Did he just like roll over? It's a weird animation.
This is the unique thing with this sort of monster. When you trip them, they don't just fall over and sprawl and try to get back on their legs. This type of monster will roll over and it'll count as an attack too. So if you get rolled over, you take damage.
Okay.
And you get knocked over.
I'm sorry, I just sort of have to ask this, but the cave we're in is sort of just seems very blah.
Yeah, basically this monster does not move from this cave for some reason. He just stays in this cave the entire time, whereas all the other monsters will will move all around the map, and you will scare them off after you deal enough damage, or you fought with for too long in one area.
And yeah, I assume you have to go chase them to different parts, different maps.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm just hoping all the environments aren't this.
No, they aren't.
Okay.
They actually do make varied environments. It's just, for some reason, this Basiros only stays in caves. Whereas, it's just in this map, if you fight a Basiros, he will always be in this cave, and he will never leave it for some reason. It's just how he's programmed, I guess.
Okay.
I don't think I even managed to, for the viewers at home, I don't think I managed to break his chest in this video. Something you should probably also know that, like, you notice that I cut the tail off.
Yeah.
On monsters, you can break various parts of their body for either drops, like special drops for crafting your armor and items. or sometimes it'll weaken the monster in some form. The Basiros, if you break his chest, then his flesh will be exposed, which will give you a huge damage boost when attacking his chest. But longsword is not really the best weapon to break the chest with, unfortunately.
Was the longsword a thread pick or?
No, the longsword was just me wanting to cut the tail off really easily.
Okay.
Because not all weapons have like a uppercutting type move, or where you chop from overhead chops or anything like that, which are really good to cut tails with.
Is cutting the tail important to the battle at all, or?
No, that was just to show off. With the tail stump is that small, it's not really gonna make a difference on the hitbox.
I don't know, like you have to chop off the tail to beat the guy or whatever.
No,
okay.
Usually cutting off the part of the tail will make the hitbox sort of smaller for the tail. So when if the monster tries to sweep with the tail and smack you in the face, the hitbox will be smaller and he won't really get you.
Okay.
Like you can get small advantages like that, or just like some drops are only gotten through specific breaks.
And you're just killing the locals of the cave here, or whatever?
Yeah, they give you basically a minute to harvest the monster, but I got all the carves from it, and just killing stuff to waste time, I guess.
Sure, so that's a quest clear.
And, yeah, and I got really shitty rewards. Oh, it's terrible. And the cat has been doing stuff I don't want it to do. Gathering items. Cat does that. And at the end you get a little reward, but I will see you all next time. We'll see you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed.
End of video.